It's 6 o'clock on Tuesday, the 28th of January, 2020. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Christopher, bringing you the only update of the local Albanian news translated into English. The Democratic Party says the state-run Rai 3 television broadcast showed that Albania continues to be Europe's Colombia. From the blue seat, former MP Ervin Shaljani said the testimony brought by Rai 3 testifies to failure of Edi Rama and Sandar Leshaj to meet one of the Bundestag's key conditions for launching negotiations, the fight against organized crime. In Albania, he continued, organized crime is not only being fought, but protected by the ruling party, has become a major player in international narcotics trafficking. For 6 years, there has been no organized crime boss in prison. There is no drug trafficking boss arrested. Sandar Leshaj's prisons have been filled with opposition protesting against the crime-related government and the poor working on cannabis parcels. The bosses are all free because they provide Edi Rama the money to buy the votes and to keep up with his project of stealing elections and seizing justice. Rai 3 reports rejects millions of euros of governmental propaganda that it has eliminated cannabis. Just a few days ago, 1.2 tons of drugs were seized in Greece, while on the Italian coast, this is a common occurrence. According to Shaljani, with Edi Rama's governance, children in school find cannabis easier than pens. The criminal drug business is stifling any competition, and the opportunity for honest business to develop. Educators have no future, or public safety. Citizens' lives and property are unsafe from power line gangs and criminals. Shaljani said fighting crime is a top priority for the Democratic Party. We are determined to crush organized crime, its links to politics, and bring criminal responsibility to any bandit, be it prime minister, MP, mayor, or organized crime boss. Former mayor of Ora, Agim Kaimaku, withdrew his request for a change in security measures. The Tirana court dismissed the request at today's hearing after Kaimak's defense lawyers failed to appear in court. This decision remains in effect from the previous security measure, that being arrest and imprisonment. Agim Kaimaku has been on the run for 5 months on charges of forgery of forms after hiding his sentences in Greece. The prosecution has closed the investigation against the former mayor of Ora and sent the file to the court for a preliminary hearing to decide whether the case will go to trial or to return to the prosecution for further investigation. Immediately after submitting credentials to the presidency, the new U.S. ambassador has begun meetings with Rama's government ministers. In a conversation with the foreign and defense ministers, Kim discussed the challenges Albania faces on the path to EU integration, as well as commitment as part of NATO. A day after handing over the credentials to the presidency, U.S. Ambassador to Tirana, Yuri Kim, has started meeting with Albanian politicians. The top U.S. official on Tuesday morning paid a 30-minute visit to the office of Acting Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs, Gen Sakai. The top diplomat in a post on Facebook says, during the meeting with the Ambassador Kim, the challenges of our country related to Albania's commitment to open negotiations with EU were discussed, as well as the OSCE chairmanship and the obtaining of provisional status in the Security Council in 2020. The U.S. is an irreplaceable political and strategic partner for Albania, Sakai concluded his post. After Sakai, Yuri Kim is relocated to the Office of Minister of Defense. For Olta Gjachka, this is not her first meeting with the ambassador, as they were recognized a year ago at the Pentagon, where Ambassador Kim was part of the staff of the U.S. Secretary of Defense. The Minister of Defense is optimistic that with the engagement of the new ambassador, the relationship between the two countries will be strengthened. The priorities of this bilateral relationship are the modernization of the armed forces, security and stability in the Balkans. Ambassador Yuri Kim is expected to have further meetings with political representatives from both camps in the coming days. Justice reform and resolving this political crisis in the country have always been part of the focus of American diplomacy. Adults will now have to pay 100 Albanian lek to enter the Tirana Zoo, although it serves more as a storehouse for storing old destroyed items than as an environment where to go see wild animals. The zoo can no longer be called such by a name. The visuals it offers are those of 1997, when no one had control over anything. One can find building materials, destroyed children's toys, and other rubbish along the floor of the animals' living quarters. Grass has even sprouted inside some of them. New and broken rubbish bins, park benches, and simply trash are found all over the grounds of the park. It is ironic, to say the least, that one must even pay to visit the premises. Pollution in Tirana is multidimensional, not only in terms of the environment, but also for its noise being a big concern for citizens. Heavy traffic and loud music venues are a major source of acoustic pollution. Citizens have expressed their concerns, saying that Tirana is noisy. Both traffic and music contribute greatly to acoustic pollution. Most of the noise comes from the cars. The most problematic areas are the main intersections where there is not only a high turnover of vehicles, but also an occupancy of multi-story spaces. Other citizens comment, more cars keep coming into the city. Tirana is continuing with more and more illegal construction projects. A total of 57 noise leveling modernization stations are set up throughout Albania, while 15 exist in Tirana. 2 months after the earthquake, many families in Durrës have returned to live in dangerous flats, as the municipality says they have been forgotten. Complaints are about delays in housing expertise and rental bonus delivery. The residents of District 13 in the Durrës beach area, whose buildings were damaged by the November 26th earthquake, protested on Monday what they call negligence and forgetfulness by the municipality and the central government. We want the state to say if this building is habitable or not. When more than 2 months have passed since the earthquake, they still have no answer whether they can live in the building or not, raising the alarm about the damage that is received as a result of violations by builders. The terrace has all the inhabitants of the building. He has made the attic and all the rains fell on the house. They also complain about the rent bonus, as they say they were taken out of the hotels, but they were not paid for this inconvenience. They took us to the hotel and the hotel kicked us out. Sources from Durrës municipality said that these families have qualified for the rent bonus, but acknowledged that they have not been dispersed yet. As for the condition of the building, in-depth expertise is expected to decide if it is habitable or not. Farmers are massively cutting down apple trees in the village of Vranić municipality of Devol. They say their cultivation has plunged them into debt as they are losing the returns on their investment. In the warehouses, hundreds of tons of production are decaying as a result of connecting the produce to market. This farmer in Vranić in Devol cut an entire orchard down with apples. He said he had taken a loan from the bank to help raise his crops, but the lack of an access to the market plunged him into debt. The result forced him to the extreme decision to put an axe to his trees. We put much money and sweat into our fields. It didn't suit us, and so we had to wait. Tons of produce is now rotting in warehouses of Devol's apples farmers. The farmers say the trades are offering them a low price of 10 lek per kilogram. At this price, they say they can't even cover the pesticides the apples require. If they're worth 500 lek a kilo in Tirana, they're only worth 100 lek in Devol. There are 3,000 kilograms in the country, and we will have to throw all of them into the river. There is now massive movement among farmers to give up the orchard business throughout the country. The situation is similar in all of Devol and Korçev villages known for apple cultivation. We are expecting that there is no solution. If the state government opens some refrigerator units and takes in 30 to 50% of the produce, what remains would be to recuperate by the farmer. The lack of market has made production end up in canals. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening. Be sure to join us again every Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Ora News, thank you and good night.